All right. We are live. Your feelings matter. Let's invite. Oh shoot! Let me see if I can invite some friends. Oh, actually, are we supposed to just chill for a second, right?
Just hold up that. Yeah. Can you hold it up a little closer?
Oh, hold it a little closer to the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Sabbath a little bit.
That's what I was just doing.
Don't click it. Because then it's going to eat more bandwidth.
Oh, how am I supposed to see what people say?
Share.
I don't need to share it. I just need to see what people are saying.
Oh, okay.
I just need to see what people are saying.
Oh. Oh, okay. Oh. Oh, get out of there. Okay. Their comments will pop up right here. Let's just go in there let's go in there when it's time to do that.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Oh, I see, because they're talking to us now.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, okay, we're getting new to this.
We're new guys, so give us some grace today.
I like. All right.
Good evening, Shabbat shalom. All right, let's get started.
So Sarah's on. We got Diana's on. What up, Diana? We got Anita's in the house. What's up?
Hi.
What's up? Our people, what's
Shalom.
up? Shabbat shalom.
So I'm Ashley, and this is my husband Shabazz, for any of you guys that don't know us. And we are so honored to be guest speakers tonight. If you're joining us for the very first time, we're part of an online community called the Sabbath Collective.
Hey.
A community of people interested in celebrating the Sabbath and pursuing God through a Hebraic worldview of the Bible.
So we're very honored to be playing here today. Lately, if you haven't seen, lately I've been kind of doing these notes in the world, kind of like this one. That it's a series that I've been writing these messages from God, and realize that maybe I would kind of write one for you all today. Hey, Nicole. Autocorrect. What?
Let me do the reading and you do
really?
the talking. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, sorry. Okay. Anyways, so today we're talking about feelings. I've got a lot of feelings, and feelings have been in the news a lot lately. I've got a lot of feelings. Ashley's got a lot of feelings, and difficult feelings too. I thought Ashley had all the feelings, and I just didn't have the tools in order to talk about them. I thought she, excuse me. What I mean is, I thought Ashley had all the feelings, but I have the feelings too. I just don't have the tools as much to talk about them. And I think that we've all felt like that before, and I think some of us. The reason we see some of the tragedies we've seen on some of the news is because they too didn't always, they didn't, I would assume that some of those things, because people just don't know what to do with some of those feelings, those difficult feelings, and they find themselves in a hole. We find ourselves in a hole when we don't know what to do, that we can't get out of. And in fact, I'm there right now. I woke up this morning and, I called my dad at, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I said, hey, Dad, I'm having a panic attack. I text Donna, I was like, hey, Donna, I'm having a panic attack. But today I wanted to talk about, the power of feelings And so when we come at this, we don't come at this as professionals, although Ashley actually technically is a professional with feelings. We come at this as sojourners on the journey of feelings.
Yeah.
So today, we all have feelings. Oh shoot, our whole system just stopped working. Oh man, we did not account for that faux pas. Okay, all right, talk to the people. And I'm gonna.
How are you guys doing?
Oh man, our whole system shut down, and we did not account for that. We accounted for all the problems except.
Sorry guys, technical difficulties. Bear with us for just a second while we're waiting. Let's
talk to the people. Talk to people.
Hi, Mom.
Is your mom
Hi,
online?
Donna. Yes. Man, talk about fears. This is the worst fear.
This is the worst fear, right? You get in front of a bunch of people on camera, and then like your
whole spiel goes away.
Your whole plan gets thrown off. Yeah, that is where we are. So you want to do it this way? You want to do it here?
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get it hooked back up over here.
Okay. Forgive us, guys. Sorry about that.
Our computer just died. Oh, there we are. We're back. And we're back. Sorry for that moment lapse in technology. Okay. All right. So where was I? I said, okay. So we all have the feelings. And if you, the boys, why you just gotta ask about the boys, Diana? Like, we're here too. Okay, sorry. Okay, so, all right, I'm just joking. All right, so we all have feelings, and if you're surprised by that, then you're absolutely gonna love our talk. But even more specifically, we can boil our feelings down to 8 core emotions. And so let me show you some of those the eight core emotions. Those 8 core emotions are anger, joy. Actually, I should put it here first. Anger, joy, fear, shame, guilt, lonely, hurt, and sad. Now, I'm only going to call out, because we're going to talk about this a lot, and so we're just going to call out 2 of those feelings. Those 2 feelings that I want to just kind of underscore are shame and guilt, because sometimes people get it mixed up. Shame is when you feel bad about yourself, and guilt is when you feel bad about something that you've done. Okay?
And so, feelings are, let's talk about feelings as a tool, right? I personally believe that feelings are built in as our God-given design, as part of our God-given design, kind of like a compass to help us find our way back to joy, find our way back to connection. And I think sometimes the challenge is that we don't know how to express or respond to difficult feelings. So sometimes we're left dealing with our emotions alone, which leaves us feeling disconnected. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, transcending difficult emotions alone is supremely difficult. And hurting alone in a silo never made anyone feel better. Yeah,
it's actually interesting. I saw Diana, I think it was Diana just popped up and said that there seems to be more negative emotions than positive ones. And we like to call them difficult emotions because sometimes all emotions, like we don't choose those emotions, they happen to us and we just get to choose what we do next with them. But when we have those, like, I want to introduce this idea of a stunt double. We have a tool to help. This is a tool to help us compensate for that. We've all got a stunt double. I should have written stunt double page, actually. Can you write this stunt double on the page for me? We all, because I want to talk about stunt double for a second. We're gonna. It's our stand-in for difficult and dangerous situations. We all have a stunt doubles. Stunt doubles are the enemy to feelings and vulnerability. Right? I want to say that again. Stunt doubles are the enemy to feelings and vulnerability. Now, so you know what a stunt double is. They can be helpful sometimes, like if you're Beyonce and you whip out Sasha Fierce, or when you take on your stunt double when you go on a job interview. You don't want to just tell them, hey, I plan to be here for 6 months and then you're gone. You don't necessarily want to, say all those things because you put in your stunt double, you tag your stunt double in. The problem though with stunt doubles is that they aren't real. Your stunt double is put there to help you deal with difficult emotions, but you can't build an intimate relationship with a stunt double. So when we always talk about like, hey, what's real, and what's fake, the stunt double is kind of like the enemy to what's real. So actually,
yeah, and I mean, I also think there are so many examples of things we use as stunt doubles in order to circumvent our vulnerability and our feelings. We try to connect with possessions. We try to use talent to connect, charisma. We try to use our personality. You try to be a hero. That's one of mine. We try to be self-righteous. Mine too. And sometimes use outward appearances as ways to use them as our stunt double.
And you know those people, like you go to the party and the guy who's showing off his jokes, really he's uncomfortable and he's put on his stunt double. Or you hang out with the person who's always talking about their car, really that's a stunt double. You see the person who's obsessed with their personal appearance. That's just a way that people are using to connect with people that really doesn't actually connect. They're false connections.
And so ultimately, stunt doubles inhibit connection. And I think we all long for connection, right? But sometimes we try to do it with everything but our feelings.
Right.
I've actually heard it said, we are people who are starved for connection, not attention, right? I also heard about Brene Brown. She's an author and a research professor at the University of Houston, and she gave a TED Talk on vulnerability, and she says it really well. She says, connection is the energy created between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment.
So, this brings us to our hypothesis. I'm just gonna start this with a little quick prayer. God, I thank you for this day. Thank you for our people. Thank you for our feelings. And I pray on this Sabbath that we would just be honored and blessed to learn our superpower. Our hypothesis is this: God designed us to process each other's feelings because this vulnerability is the way that we build connections with one another. In fact, I would be so bold enough to say that God has wired us toward connection. So actually let's show that little video. I'll turn this.
Got some multimedia.
We got some multimedia. So we're going to show a little video that talks about that very thing. Turn it all the way up.
She's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age. And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her. This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, "Come on, why aren't we doing this?" Even in this 2 minutes when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions. They turn away. They feel the stress of it. They actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Yes, multimedia, we're doing it big. We're doing it big. Here, we're going to get that back to that. So, anyways, this experience is not just a baby experience. It's a human experience. And I hope that you all were able to hear all of that. But essentially, just in case you weren't, there was a syncing that happened that the baby is, is kind of wired to kind of like sync with. And what sticks out to me from birth is that we're wired toward kindness and connection. We need to feel validated to assure our identity. And we must feel heard to know that we matter. Now, I love this part, the still face experiments, because I love science, the scientific, evidence behind it. And, like we all, feel still face, when I come home and, Ashley's had a long day with the boys and I'm like, hey babe, what's going on? I got this cool idea. And she's like, yeah. That's, it's a still face. We experience it even as adults. And scientifically speaking, there's a unit of measure that kind of helps us to gauge the amount of energy it takes to process our emotions and our feelings. And that measurement is called an emotional energy unit. And research has found that when we have feelings, we process them together. It takes 80% less of that energy to process together. Okay, so this is, all right, I want to make sure you got it. Like, when we process our feelings together, it takes 80% less energy, glucose, whatever, there's a special term for it, in order to process those feelings.
And so here, like, when we don't process those feelings with other people, there are many perils and difficulties when we bottle up, or I'll call it damming up our feelings, right? The unexpressed feelings we hold inside can manifest into what feel like unrelated things, like physical ailments, anxiety, addiction. You can even get physically sick, right? Because we're wholly connected beings. Like, what we eat, what we feel, what we practice, all affect us. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Glenn Hill.
By the way, we should pause. Advertisement for Dr. Glenn Hill. Okay. We've been going to see Dr. Glenn Hill, and he's dope. And a lot of the things that we're talking about today is not our own. We're not like super smart genius people. There's this guy that we've been hanging out with, and we love this guy. And if you want to know how to connect with people, from your employee relationships, your marriage relationships, friendships, go talk to this guy. Go to this website. Big plug. Okay. All right. Continue. Back to you.
So Dr. Hill, he's an author and a therapist who we credit with a lot of the language and things we're talking about today. We're kind of bubbling over with these things we're discussing because it's part of what we've been working on and journeying on. So we couldn't help but share it with you all. And one of the things he says is, if I had a 1 pound weight and threw it 400 times at you, you can handle it, right? But if I had a 400 pound weight and threw it at you one time, it's too heavy for you to bear. And that's what feelings are like. If we don't share our feelings, if we bottle them up, if we hold them over days, months, years even, it'll come out like a 400 pound weight. And that's too much for anybody to bear. And eventually you explode in some form or another. And so if we're feeling bottled up, if we're feeling dammed up, if we're holding things, I hold things all of the time. Why not trust our superpower? Why not lean into our feelings?
Our feelings! It's our superpower. These are the power that God has given us. And we're going to get to why that's our superpower. But I want to make it really practical. Like, we want to make it really practical on how do we do that? How do we share our feelings differently? Because I feel like we all know this, but maybe there's some ways that we've been learning that's actually been super helpful and kind of gets to the money as fast as possible. Because remember those energy units that we talked about? The thing that we want to do is to kind of like, process our feelings as efficiently as possible. And so these are some things that we're kind of learning. Dr. Glenn Hill calls it the connection codes. Hey, Marika. So we'll talk about it. So the first thing, when you share your feelings, share your core feelings. We talked about the core feelings. Anger, joy, fear, shame, guilt, lonely, hurt, and sad. We'll actually post these on Facebook so everybody has them. We literally have one of these hanging on our wall. It's big and beautiful with the feelings, so that when Ashley and I share our feelings with one another, we start with, "Hey, babe, I feel sad. I'm just full of shame because I feel like I really screwed this up." And then when you respond, there's also a very special way to respond as well. You have one duty. Okay, I want to get this, especially for the. This is for everybody. For everybody. Okay. I was gonna say for the fellas, but it's really for everybody because it's hard for everybody, and it seems real easy. It seems really easy, but when you respond, you have one duty, which is to empathize and to be kind. And Dr. Glenn always says to us, you just need to just ooh. There's a lot of different versions of ooh, but it's all just like empathizing. This hurts. Feel the pain with them and verbalize that you're feeling it with them. And that sucks. And the thing that's powerful is, we struggle when it comes to dealing with difficult feelings. Like, you go to a funeral and you don't know what to do there. Many of us don't like going to funerals because we don't know what to say to people. We don't know how to be in that space with all these difficult emotions and feelings. And the thing that we need to do is just just feel it with people. Go there and just let them hear that we feel. Someone's breaking up with their girlfriend. You just ooh. You let them know that you feel them. You don't need to correct, reassure, or ask why. In fact, sometimes when you say why you feel that way? Oh, like I feel like a bit. Ashley, she might say, oh, I feel like a bad mom today. Why? Oh, really? So now that makes her. When I say why, that makes her feel like an idiot. Or if
accusation,
feels like an accusation. Or if I say, if I try to correct her, actually, you took the kids to the zoo and you made them some fried chicken and you were up since 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, what the freak? You're a great mom. What are you talking about? That's not helpful. I mean, I know that you're trying to reassure, trying to make her feel better, trying to show her. But really, the best thing to do is just to empathize, to sit in her feelings with her, and just listen. A lot of us don't really know how to just really listen. But really, it's like listening and then feeling with them and verbalizing how you feel with them. And that's hard when you get in an argument because when Ashley kind of says, "Well, I feel anger because." Today you left to go work at at some coffee shop and you left me here all day. That's not what she says, But if I say, if I come at, well, actually I hung out all day and that's not the point. The point is that the details, because we can actually, you could actually go to court and go to the judge. The judge would say, well, yes, Ashley's being ridiculous. You won the case, but then you lose the connection. So we don't want to win the case and lose the connection. So we want to delay the logistics for as long as possible and deal with the connection first, because this is the superpower that God has given us to deal with the connection and the feelings. So that was me just trying to make it really simple. I hope that we can ask some questions. So if you have any thoughts or questions, you kind of put it out there for us. Just kind of start writing some things in there. But feelings are a common ground that God has built into our design, and we're living. I
think that's really important.
Yes. God has put feelings into our design. Oh, I put that back. Oh, your feelings back. We're living in a time when there's not much common ground. And feelings are a common ground that God has given for all of us to meet on. It's kind of like a built-in kind of place for us to meet. And the person in the room that looks to deal with the feelings first, often, and any time, in any situation or any circumstances, is the one who's in the room with the superpower. They're the ones in the room that are equipped. And as the people of God, that should be us. So...
Yeah, you want to ask questions if they have questions?
Oh, yeah. And so, again, like, if you guys have thoughts, questions, concerns, like, just go ahead and write them in there. And we'll just, just go ahead and write it in there. And, yeah.
So while you guys are doing that, you know, personally, Shabazz and I have been learning about the power of connection in our marriage. So every marriage has their things. And the beautiful part is that this journey that we've been on about finding connection in our relationship, finding deeper connection, has kind of given us opportunities to go back and heal things that we didn't even know we weren't able to talk about with each other. And so, you know, sometimes even in your relationships, you can have your stunt double up in your most intimate relationships. And so it's a beautiful thing to get to know one another on an even deeper level. And so anyway, Dr. Glenn, who we spoke of earlier, one of the things he says that really resonates is this. It's that we all feel, but many of us have been taught that feelings are a sign of weakness, of brokenness, of something to be ashamed of. But feelings aren't bad, and feelings aren't a sign of weakness. Feelings are a human experience, and each emotion serves a purpose. Feelings are the great lost gold mine of relational connection. And without emotion, there is no connection, there's no compassion, and there's no empathy. And the key to mental and emotional health and having healthy relationships is learning how to effectively process emotions. And you know, it seems that God has written clues about the power of connection throughout creation.
Yes.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible, you see Jesus being our great empathizer, and our relationship with God ourselves when we interact with God and connect with God. Like, connection is written on our hearts. And I think that it's part of God's plan for the world to restore connection in general, right? And so let's not miss the importance and power of not only restoring connection with God, but on a person-to-person level, because there's power there. And in closing, I'll leave you with a couple thoughts. One thought, I guess, is that vulnerability is the essence of connection, and connection is the essence of existence. So thanks, guys, for listening. If you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in. We'd love to hear what you thought about some things that we're talking about tonight. You know, do you have feelings?
Do you have feelings? You know what? I'm just looking because I'm not seeing any questions or anything. So I think that might be it.
Yeah.
So that's when we say ooh on. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for joining with us, and so
candles.
let's just light the candles and pop off this Friday night. And we actually do the Sabbath just a little bit different. Yes, Jesus is our empathizer. And actually that's one of the things, like, many of us may experience God as our first person to ever kind of like sit with us and ooh with us. So anyways, when we do the Sabbath, we light, in our home, we light 4 candles. 3 candles are for God, one for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and another is for someone that has come before us. And since my mother-in-law is on the line, I'm going to light the 4th one for Grandma Cece, which is a civil rights leader who lived in the mountains of Virginia and fought for the integration of schools, and it happens to be our grandmother, Ashley's grandmother and mine. And so thank you for joining us, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
From Nashville! Live from Nashville, it's Sabbath Collective!
Okay, go turn it off. It's fine.
Okay. All right, love you guys. Love you guys. Come visit.